I need to say something that some of you already know. Your parents, they're changing. And nobody in their family want to say that out loud. Everyone is noticing the little things, but everybody just keeps pretending things are just normal. And honestly, the emotional tension is exhausting because deep down, you know something feels different. Okay? Maybe your mom is repeating herself. Maybe your dad is forgetting appointments. Maybe bills are piling up. Medication begin to get all mixed up. Maybe they're becoming more anxious, more forgetful, and needing more reassurance than before. And the hardest part is that you keep trying to convince yourself it is not as serious as it feels. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Dr. Joy, and I work closely with seniors and families navigating this season of life every single day. And one thing that I've learned is this. Families, they usually will notice changes long before emotionally accepting those changes. Because once you say it, something is changing. Once you say that, everything feels more real. And honestly, I think many of us stay in denial longer than we realize because we are not emotionally ready for the shift. Can we be honest? The noticer of the family has a very interesting job. You notice everything, you bring up everything, but nobody listens. Then 6 months later goes by, and then someone's going to say, I think mom might be having some problems. And you're standing there like, welcome to the party. We've been expecting you. Remember, in most cases, we are the adult children. I am an adult child. And I am having to deal with my parents as well. I think what makes this season so emotionally confusing is that your parent still feels like your parent, not the other way around. You still see the person who raised you, the person who handled everything, the person who made you feel safe growing up. And when little things begin to change and happen, it begins to worry us. Because now we're having to balance two realities at the same time. We are reversing roles. This is still your parent, of course, but they may also need more support than before. And that emotional contradiction can create guilt, frustration, sadness, and confusion, y'all. Even resentment sometimes. Especially when you're trying to manage your own life too. And let's be honest. A lot of us are part of the sandwich generation. That's me too. Can we be honest? I don't know who came up with the term sandwich generation, but they made it sound way more fun than it actually is. Nobody hears sandwich and think, oh, this must mean constant worry and everyone needing something from me at the same time. We're trying to manage careers and households and finances and children and relationships while also slowly becoming more responsible for our parents emotionally. That's a heavy shift. And I think many people in that type of role are functioning in survival mode without fully realizing how emotionally overwhelming they are becoming. Can we be honest? Some days I feel less like I'm a part of the sandwich generation and more like the mayonnaise on the sandwich. I'm just spread across everything: work, family, parents, responsibilities, everything. Because now you're checking in constantly with your parent, you're monitoring things, you're handling emergencies, you're thinking way ahead because you got all this other stuff going on in your life already. You're carrying worry in the background because now you see something is beginning to happen with your parent. And after a while, that emotional weight, it really catches up to us. Now, I also think families try to avoid hard conversations for way too long. I see it every day. When they usually get to me, they are already in a reactive state. Not proactive, not where pre-planning this could have been happening. They're reactive. They just want to get it done. Boom, 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 boom. Because remember, we are in the sandwich generation. I am too. Meaning that I got a whole bunch going on myself, and here are my parents over here, and I got to figure out them as well. And when this is happening, when you are being reactive, you're not having those hard conversations. You waited too long to have those hard conversations because nobody wants to embarrass their parent. Nobody wants conflict. Nobody wants their parent to feel incapable. That's just being human. But avoiding these types of conversations does not stop situations from happening or progressing, because it's going to progress. It's usually just delaying the support that your parent or your loved one is in need of. Can we be honest? It's amazing how a whole family can see the same thing, and somehow nobody says anything. We're all over here playing emotional hide and seek. You say it, no, you say it. Meanwhile, mom is standing there repeating the same story for the fourth time. Can we be honest with each other? And you wait to the crisis. That's not what we're supposed to do. That's why I have unspoken conversations. Because if we learn to do this quickly and understand why we're doing it, then we would not have to be so reactive when it comes to our parents later on in life. And it's unfortunate, but many families, they wait until their parent is in the hospital, or their parent has had a fall, or their parent is having financial issues. And when I say financial issues, I'm not saying whether or not they can afford to stay in their place or whether or not they can afford to pay their bills. They just forget to pay their bills. Or your parent is having issues with medication. Now medication is all over the place. You have expired medication, taking medication at times they shouldn't be taking medication. Lots of things are beginning to happen because of you waiting too long. Now, I want to say this carefully. Normal aging can include forgetfulness sometimes. That alone does not automatically mean that your parent has dementia or is in a cognitive decline. But there are patterns that I believe we need to pay attention to. And that is things like repeated confusion, poor judgment, medication mistakes, constant medication mistakes. Financial confusion, meaning paying a bill shouldn't have been paid, or forgetting to pay the bill 2 and 3 months and now the lights are off. Personality changes, isolation, forgetting familiar routines, and the list can go on and on and on. If you are seeing these things, you should not ignore them. And one thing I always encourage people to remember is this. You do not need a full diagnosis from the doctor or from anyone before becoming more supportive and observing more when it comes to your parent or your loved one. Early conversations matter. Early planning matters. And approaching things with dignity matter. And honestly, I think one of the hardest parts about this season is realizing your parent may resist help. Yeah. They may resist it. Because for many older adults, I can say this, their independence is tied to their dignity and their identity. So when you see a concern, it's how you approach it, which will get you a better result instead of approaching it in the wrong way, which will get you the stubbornness that I see so many times in family meetings. But parents, when you start to even say sometimes things are wrong, they really feel like now they have a loss of control, that they have a loss of freedom and a loss of confidence. And that's emotional for everybody involved, not just us as adult children, but also the parent. So how you say something, what tone you use, it matters. Their dignity, it matters. You start to realize that your parent is becoming more vulnerable. You remember when you were vulnerable with your parent and how they took you in and loved on you and said everything is going to be okay. But now it's your turn. You take them in, love on them, and say everything is going to be okay with some support. Can we be honest? I don't know exactly when this happened, but at some point I became IT support, and I never applied for the position. I have to know passwords for the phones, for the TVs. I have to know how to work the printer. Somehow this became my responsibility. Can we be honest? From me, from my siblings, and from outside resources as well. And when seniors, I think that they're losing control, it's heartbreaking for them. It's heartbreaking for us as adult children, because now we see our parents in a state that we have never seen them before. They were strong and courageous and always that person that say, I got your back. But you know what? Now it's your turn to have their back. I think the conversations we avoid the most usually become the conversations we need the most. And avoiding reality like this, the subject we're talking about today, it doesn't protect your family. It doesn't protect your parent emotionally. What protects them is support. What protects them is planning and having honest conversations and being compassionate. And if you have been quietly carrying concerns for your parent or the person that you love or taking care of, while trying to hold it down with everything else that you got going on. I just want you to know that you are not alone. I am Dr. Joy, and this has been Unspoken Conversations.
Unspoken Conversations with Dr. Joy.